Okay, welcome back to Football is Scripted. It's just me today, no Bradley. This is weird. I guess I'm recording a podcast on myself. By myself. Good start. Why is Bradley not here? Because, Bradley's doing stuff with his life, so that's why he's not here. Today, I'll just talk about a few things. You might be able to hear the odd noise in the background. I do live next to a road, which is not ideal, and I have a barking dog downstairs. So, a few things to talk about today. The reason for that, by the way, is because the mic. I've changed the setting on the mic, so it picks up far noise a little bit more because I've moved it, because it didn't like the sound from that side. Anyway, I'm going to talk about a few things, like I've said 3 times. Firstly, we're going to talk about... what do we talk about today? Should we talk about Man United versus Tottenham? I did do a video on that on my other channel, Spurs Never Ends. I'll put a link in the description if you want to go and watch it. That was a good game of football, I thought. How about that for punditry, eh? A good game of football. But there's one thing I actually wanted to talk about in particular, which was the fact that Ange Postecoglou has royally fucked Ten Hag. How has he done that? Well, a lot of people are saying Ten Hag should leave the club. And I think a lot less people would be saying that if Ange Postecoglou wasn't at Tottenham. He's come in, Ange Postecoglou, and he's done really well. He's changed the, I guess you would say, philosophy of Spurs, or the play style that was there. He's got them playing really good football. I think the best football, arguably, in the league. We're winning games. We're 5th in the league. Many didn't even predict us to finish top 8, or some had us 8th, around there. And he's revolutionised Spurs. I think Ange does have a hint of Sir Alex Ferguson about him. Not saying as good, obviously. But just sort of like that he's the club. That's what I mean with Ange. And he's obviously done a very good job. And a lot of people are saying, well, if Ange can do that in 6 months, he did it in his first pre-season game. You could see the difference straight away. Ten Hag, after 18 months, a really good first season, by the way, hasn't really embedded a play style on this Man United team. And I think the fact that Ange has done so at Spurs has kind of put more pressure, a lot more pressure, on Ten Hag. I'm going to have a tea. Do you like my cup? Shelby Brothers Limited, Peaky Blinders, Birmingham, 1919. I am a bit of a Peaky Blinders stan. Oh, with my mic you should be able to hear that. Maybe I'll have to move away. So, Ten Hag, the reason why I feel it's undeserved, a lot of the criticism, is when Ange came into Spurs, a lot of people underestimated how good our players were. I'll go a bit closer actually to the mic. Yeah, a lot of people definitely underestimated how much talent we had. I could go through the starting 11. Pedro Porro, Spurs fans could definitely see a very good player there. He started scoring goals, actually. He was playing right wing towards the end of last season. We knew he was really good going forward. He actually scored a goal against Man United last year, a really good goal at our stadium. I'm a Spurs fan, if you didn't know, by the way, clearly. But yeah, we knew Pedro Porro was really good. We knew Christian Romero was really good. It's just other fans, like, he didn't have the best year last year, but fans just probably thought he was like Marcos Rojo or something. Just a bit of a loose screw, Argentinian. Wasn't very good. Spurs fans know that he's one of the best ball-playing centre-backs. He's so good at breaking lines. They knew how good he was at tackling, which he displayed against Man United and all of this season and in his Spurs career. They knew how good of a headerer, is that the word, headerer? How good at heading he was, and just how good he was. Spurs fans knew how good Christian Romero was. We just knew that last year he was off it a bit. And don't get me wrong, he has flaws. He's not been perfect at all this year, but we knew he was very good. Mickey van der Ven, fair enough, we didn't know much about. But Destiny Udogie we did. We did know a little bit about. We knew that in Udinese, we knew he was one of the best performing left backs in Serie A the past 2 seasons. I think the year before last season, he was a bit better. But we knew that we were getting a really good talent in Destiny Udogie. We knew that when we signed him 2 years ago. You go to the midfield, everyone knew Basuma was a good player. Everyone knew. At Brighton, he was fantastic. He didn't suit Conte. Maybe the system, 2 midfielders. I think most Spurs fans knew that Basuma would turn good. Bentancur. Again, every Spurs fan knew Bentancur was a fantastic player. And not just that, if he could stay fit, he would be a Real Madrid, or I always think this and say this about Bentancur. He is a Man United player. And that is a compliment, not today's Man United, because that wouldn't be a compliment. But in history, 20 years ago, Bentancur is a very Man United player. Maddison. Look, you're an idiot if you think Maddison wasn't going to do well at Spurs. It was a perfect fit. He was unbelievable at Leicester last year. I think in the past 4 years, he's top 3 for goal contributions as an English player. Top 3. He had injuries, we knew that. He had an injury this year, but everyone knows, surely, that he was very good. Pape Sarr. He went to the San Siro last year and put in a really good performance. I think he was man of the match. Just didn't play ever again because Conte did a terrible job last year. Kulusevski. All Spurs fans knew he was a very good player. Heung-min Son. We all know he's obviously world class. There were doubts coming into this year. Even I said, I think he's past it. I didn't know he was carrying an injury at the time. But I think a lot of fans, they knew he still had quality. He still scored 10 goals last year in the Prem, despite him being literally our worst player last year, apart from Eric Dyer. So, everyone in the summer was pretending like this team didn't have quality. It did. It always did. Now, with a few Ange signings, which is credit to Ange, Brennan Johnson's done okay. He's done okay. Vicario. I don't know whether that was a club signing or an Ange signing, but it's one of the best signings I've seen Spurs make ever, to be honest. For 17 million, that's ridiculous for a keeper that good. Mickey van der Ven. That is an Ange signing. You can just tell. And there, yes, he does deserve credit. A lot of credit. Trying to think of anyone else. Of course, Maddison as well, but I think a lot of people would have thought of bringing Maddison to Spurs. So, I think all it would have taken was an attacking manager, and already this Spurs team would have been a lot better anyway. I don't think it's Ange. Obviously, Ange is making them better. He's persuading players to come to us. For a start, Dragoshin, Maddison. He could have gone to Newcastle. James Maddison, who were in the Champions League. We weren't even in Europe. So obviously, Ange is very talented and a very good manager. But my point is, I think any attacking manager, would have got them performing a lot better than they were anyway last year. So, to compare the Ange situation with Ten Hag is very unfair. because Ten Hag doesn't have... Also, a lot of these Spurs players anyway suited Ange. A lot of them are really good technically. A lot of them are fantastic in tight spaces. Bissouma, Sarr, Bentancur, Romero, excellent ball playing centre-back. Porro, he was made for Ange's role. So, look, yeah, it's... my screen has gone off. So yeah, a lot of these players, and a lot of the new ones that have come in, were made for Ange. I'm not saying he's obviously Ange is doing a really good job as well. When I look at Ten Hag, the main problem Ten Hag has is he has players that don't suit him. I don't know how you can expect Man United to even compete top four, how you can expect them to play a play style when the players don't suit his system at all. People are saying, oh, well, when players are out for Ange, they still play well. Yeah, we lost James Maddison, but let's not act like Giovanni Lo Celso isn't a really good player on the ball. Okay, maybe his end product, maybe his final through ball, maybe his physicality isn't fantastic, but on the ball, he's excellent. Excellent, maybe a bit polite. He's very good. So, I think the world's being harsh on Ten Hag. We have to talk about Rashford because, my God, look, that celebration. The quicker Ten Hag gets rid of these players, no, but this is where he shot himself in the foot, and my point becomes, well, nothing, because he's got a new contract. Surely, if Erik Ten Hag didn't want him to sign a contract, or didn't want to give him a contract, he wouldn't have given him a contract, right? We also have to look at signings. Antony is just awful. Onana is awful. I don't rate him at all. What I would say is I think Man United could be in for not a very good second half of the season, but a good second half. When I look at all their players that are fit and all the young players they have, I think Ten Hag can do a really good job at Man United. And that's without even considering the fact that last year they done really well. They won a trophy, finished third. They got to the FA Cup final. And it's not like they got battered in that final, is it? They just lost to a better team. I've lost where I was. And, for example, Rashford Celebration points out a lot of things wrong with this club and players. Harry Maguire, a few years ago, scored for England and did this. Like, mate, you're playing terrible. You're playing really bad. You don't deserve to play for England. You don't deserve to play for Man United. Don't do this once you score a goal. That's not even your job. Job is to keep out the ball from going in the net. So a lot of these Man United players I don't like. I don't like Rashford. Look, even as a Spurs fan, the player I fear the most on Sunday was Rashford. Anytime he got the ball, I thought, let's close him down. But it's not consistent. There's purple patch moments. Last year, he's the best in the world, which was always nonsense, by the way. A world-class player is what Man United want. And a world-class player, first of all comes ability, secondly comes consistency. Rashford has the ability, doesn't have the consistency. Højlund, Garnacho, we'll see in the future. They definitely have ability. Can they have that consistency? We'll see in the future. I like what I'm seeing from both of them, especially Højlund. He's looking really special. And Kobe Mainoo. And when I'm looking at some of the players in this United team, young players too, Lisandro Martinez, Kobe Mainoo, Garnacho, Højlund, I'm liking it. I like what I'm seeing. I think Ten Hag can have a very good future at Man United. I don't see the point in getting rid of Ten Hag because you've still got the same players there that are going to let you down. Rashford is going to let you down. Bruno Fernandes is going to let you down. Bruno Fernandes cannot play for Erik Ten Hag. It doesn't work. Again, Ten Hag isn't helping himself. While I'm watching him play Christian Eriksen as an 8, I'm just thinking, do you want to lose the game? How many times have Man United conceded from Eriksen not tracking his man? Because he's too old, his legs are gone. Has to stop playing Eriksen, conceding too many of the same goal. So look, he's not helping himself either. And Ten Hag, I think, does have maybe selection and transfer flaws. I do. The Onana one is shit. The Antony one, that is literally the worst signing in Premier League history, apart from Lukaku. But they got money back for Lukaku. So, and no one's paying anywhere near 90 million for Man United. Nowhere near. What I would say now is there's a transfer rumour at the moment of Elise to Man United. This feels so weird, by the way, just talking to myself. I might not cut any of it out, as a podcast, so it would be disingenuous if I did. Elise to Man United, I have to say I love that. If I was Elise's agent, would I say go to Man United? No, I would say wait for Man City, because I think he's a very Pep Guardiola player. Reminds me a lot of Riyad Mahrez. Or even a Chelsea. Or someone else. A Liverpool. Salah's going to retire in a few years. Or leave Liverpool. I think there's many options for Elise. Would I say Man United's the clever option? No. But from a Man United perspective, I love it. Højlund, Garnacho, Elise is a front three that can be scary in the future. They're currently saying at the moment the problem with United, which is true, is that they don't create chances for Højlund because their players they're moments players. They're players who are greedy. They're selfish. A striker doesn't want selfish players. Michael Elise is not selfish. I'm pretty sure he had 10 assists last year in the Premier League. He's a really good crosser of the ball. I think behind Trent and De Bruyne, he's probably the third best crosser in the league, behind those two. He can shift it on his right. His left foot is just wonderful. He takes set pieces. He can score free kicks. Seen the one he scored against Manchester United. The corners, excellent. Open play, can beat a man. He also has ball retention, which is something that Rashford, Bruno don't have. He's getting labelled a little bit. I've seen a headline of attitude problems. I don't understand that one bit. I think Wilf Zaha got labelled the same thing. I think we all know why. And maybe there's a bit of that in the Elise thing as well, because all I'm seeing is a player who's carrying Crystal Palace out of relegation. Without Michael Elise this year and last year, I don't know where they would be. Elise's been huge, especially this year. Everything comes through Elise. Turns up every game. He's never late, is he? Well, I don't know, but he's never not in the squad. He's very rarely on the bench. Always starting, always puts in a performance, puts in effort. You don't watch him and think he's not running back like Marcus Rashford. So, I love the signing. I love it. I think he would actually do well, and many players go to United and don't do well. I think Elise is too good. I think he is. I think this is a world-class talent we're talking about here. He's not performing at a world-class level, but I think once he goes to a bigger club, you'll start to notice it more. Maybe an Aaron Wan-Bissaka swap deal. Do I think this will happen, by the way? No, especially not in January. Crystal Palace will not sell Michael Elise in January. That will not happen. But in the summer, maybe in a year, maybe there's a release clause, maybe an Aaron Wan-Bissaka swap deal. Palace need a right back desperately. I can see that happening. I guess for Ten Hag as well, one of the other things, Sancho is already having an influence on the Dortmund team, and I think most of us believe Sancho will do really well at Dortmund. I don't get it. I don't understand. But Ten Hag, has he been harsh to Sancho? Sancho didn't deliver at Man United, even before Ten Hag, let's be honest. So I'm not going to put that one on Ten Hag. I'm putting that on Sancho. But I'm sure he'll do well at Dortmund. Now, just quick on the Everton vs Aston Villa game, by the way. I thought, in terms of a 0-0, some game. It was wet, cold. There was fighting, there was tackles, there was no goals. There were good chances, good goalkeeping. The tackles, honestly, were fantastic. In terms of a 0-0, it was brilliant. It was really, really good. A strong Premier League game. No one diving around as well. No rolling around. Really good. And a good point for Aston Villa. Everton is not an easy place to go, especially when they're on telly. You know, a 12:30 game, a nighttime game at Goodison is not easy one bit. Not at all. So a decent result there for Aston Villa. Good result. And Everton, I thought, were really good as well. And it was just a really close contest. I really enjoyed it. We have to talk about Man City. I'm not going to go Man City or Kevin De Bruyne because everyone on YouTube has done that. We all know how good he is. I just missed my desk. But I want to talk about that midfield because we are looking at one of the best midfields of all time. I was thinking the other day about the Mount Rushmore of midfielders, and you currently have, I think, Zidane, one. I think you have, and then a toss-up between three players, Iniesta, Xavi, and Luka Modric. I think those three then. I was thinking, who would be the fifth? And I think it is Kevin De Bruyne. I think he is the fifth best midfielder of all time. And when you think of him and Rodri is, I think, the best DM since Sergio Busquets. Or maybe, he could have a case for second best DM ever, Rodri, by the way. It's just some midfield, isn't it? It really is. You almost feel like whoever's playing on that left side, Gundogan, you got to think Gundogan was like at the level. How good was Gundogan? Wow. He didn't look out of place one bit. And when someone is going to play in that left midfield spot, they are going to look a little bit, not out of place, but there's just a big quality gap. Whoever plays there, whether it's Kovacic, Foden, I think Bernardo Silva can hold his own against them too, to be fair. It's just mad, isn't it, that midfield? Rodri and Kevin De Bruyne. How is anyone even going to compete with Man City? I know they're second at the moment, but by the time the league finishes, we could be looking at 10 point gap, 4 titles in a row. I think they'll probably win 5, 6, 7. I don't see anyone beating Man City to a title. No one. And it's scary because Rodri, another statistic I saw the other day, is 50 undefeated. 50 games undefeated in all competitions. 50. Hasn't lost since February 2023. What the fuck? It's ridiculous. And then you look at what Kevin De Bruyne does when he comes back. The pass is a joke. The goal's a joke. His crosses in that game were a joke. The whole time they just passed to Kevin De Bruyne. And Rodri won man of the match. That's how good they both are. I don't see how anyone stops them. I really don't. It's a massive problem for the rest of the league. I guess we have to wait till Kevin De Bruyne leaves. But Kevin De Bruyne is that good. You just love watching him. You just love watching Kevin De Bruyne. You know, when he was injured against Burnley, I wasn't happy. First of all, I don't think Spurs can compete with Man City, so it's not really my battle. It's more Arsenal or Liverpool. But you can't be happy with Kevin De Bruyne being injured. You know, you want to see Kevin De Bruyne playing because he can do that. And that is the sign of a really good player. Special player is when you don't want them to get injured, even though they're a rival team. He's a joke. He is an absolute joke, Kevin De Bruyne. I guess before I leave, it's been interesting. Been quite fun, actually. It's probably been really shit as well. I just want to talk about Cole Palmer a little bit, because speaking of Man City, obviously played for Man City, he reminds me of a player who played for Man City before, and I only really noticed it the other day versus Fulham. He reminds me of David Silva so much. The way he finds pockets of space in around that 10 area, you'll notice it. He finds it so much. He finds a little bit of space around the box, and he always plays these cute little passes. Just very David Silva-esque. And David Silva is, if I was to build my favourite 11 ever, David Silva would be in that. So it's nice to have a David Silva regen in the Premier League. And my guess is that he used to watch David Silva, and one of his favourite players is David Silva, because I think he plays like him. A lot of people are saying pen merchant. By the way, he's not, because even when you watch the Fulham game, he is everything to Chelsea. Getting on the ball, he is the man. He could be Chelsea captain. When Thiago Silva leaves, Cole Palmer will be Chelsea captain. But he's just so good. He is so good. His quality of pass, his dribbling, his ability to take on the man, his decision making, his penalties. He scores goals. What a ridiculous player. Great signing for Chelsea. Amazing signing. Yeah, and he just floats. He's not really a right winger. He's not really a 10. He just floats in those little spaces. And I'm really enjoying watching Cole Palmer this season, even though he plays for Chelsea. I really like him. Cole Palmer. It's a good celebration as well, by the way. Anyway, I have one more thing, actually, because I didn't realise how consistent Carlos Tevez was in the Premier League. I was very young. This is so random. I was so young when Carlos Tevez was ripping it up, especially at Man United. I can kind of remember watching him on Match of the Day. Carlos Tevez at Man City. He scored 20 goals. No, 23 goals in his first season at Man City. Then 20. And then 20 after that. That's ridiculous. When you think of what he did as well at Man United, winning the double, one of the best front threes of all time. And then he came to Man City and was ridiculous. He won the Golden Boot, too, in 2011. What a player. I didn't realise he had that consistency in the Premier League. Okay, going to end it on that. Yeah. One more point. Newcastle. If you're noticing why I'm looking there, I have a few points. Just so I don't get too lost in my mind. It's just me, okay? Give me a break. So, Newcastle are going through a very bad stage right now. So, they lost to Man City, and they were terrible in that second half. First half, they were excellent. That first half is the best half of Premier League football maybe this season. Two fantastic goals as well, especially Gordon's. What a finish. Second half offered absolutely nothing. Okay, so they lost to City. They beat Sunderland. Great win. Okay, then they lost to Liverpool. Terrible performance. They lost to Nottingham Forest. Chris Wood hat-trick. I mean, how can that even happen? Lost to Chelsea in the Carabao Cup. Knocked out of the Champions League by AC Milan. Lost 4-1 to Spurs. And lost 3-0 to Everton. And that's all back-to-back. I think there's one win in between one of those fixtures. And that's it. Really poor at the moment for Newcastle. I do anticipate them to, or predict for them to improve a lot. They'll have less games now in the season. They're out the Carabao Cup. They just got League and FA Cup to focus on, the same as Spurs now. So I anticipate a much better second half of the season for Newcastle. I do think they can push for top 4. I don't think they're out of it yet. But yeah, that's my thoughts on some of the stuff that happened this week. Some random football stuff, like a random Carlos Tevez chat. And yeah, Bradley should be back next week. Don't rely on it though. Never rely on Bradley. Anyway, if you enjoyed, give it a like and subscribe if you are new. And thank you for watching.